All right, let's jump into a deep dive that's going to take us on quite a ride.
Sounds intriguing.
We're looking at No Me Cremen, a play that translates to Don't Cremate Me.
Interesting title.
It really sets the stage for a story that grapples with tradition, faith, and, well, the afterlife.
Big questions. I'm in. What's the setup?
So, the play centers around Jaime Goldberg, a successful businessman who's passed away,
Okay.
and his two daughters, Carla and Yamila, are planning his funeral, but there's a twist.
I bet there is.
Jaime specifically requested to be cremated.
Uh-huh. So that's where the title comes in.
Exactly. And it creates this immediate tension because cremation isn't a traditional Jewish practice.
Right. Burial is much more common in Judaism.
Exactly. And to make things even more complicated, Jamie's daughters are not particularly religious.
So they're not really connected to those traditions.
Not really, no. They're planning a big party to celebrate his life, followed by the cremation.
No mourning, no fuss, just a send-off that reflects their modern lifestyle.
It seems straightforward enough, but the play throws another wrench into the mix.
Okay, lay it on me.
Every week, Jamie's daughters had these two young men, Sholem and Ariel, visiting them,
Oh, what were they doing there?
trying to connect with them.
Trying to connect with them, like romantically?
No, Sholem and Ariel were devoutly Jewish, and they were trying to share their faith with Carla and Yamil.
Oh, I see. Trying to reintroduce them to their heritage.
Yeah, bringing pamphlets, offering to teach them customs, the whole 9 yards.
And how did the daughters respond to that?
Politely, but it seems like it just never really clicked for them.
That makes sense. It's hard to suddenly embrace a whole set of beliefs and practices, especially when you're grieving.
Absolutely. And it's that disconnect that makes Sholem's reaction to Jamie's cremation wish so powerful.
Oh, I bet. He must have been conflicted.
Oh, he was. Sholem's deeply devout, and he believes that cremation could prevent Jamie's soul from finding peace.
Right, because traditional Jewish burial is seen as essential for the soul's journey.
And Sholem's struggling with how to reconcile his respect for Jamie with his concern for what he believes is best for Jamie's soul.
It's a classic dilemma. Honoring someone's wishes versus doing what you think is truly right for them.
And he's not just stewing about it on his own. He rallies his friends, a group of guys he studies with. They call themselves the Boys of Friday.
The Boys of Friday.
Yeah, they usually go out on Fridays to share Jewish teachings with others.
That's kind of cool, actually, like a modern-day outreach group.
Exactly. And now they're faced with a situation where they feel like they need to act on behalf of someone who's passed away.
I see. Their mission has taken on a whole new dimension.
Definitely. Their first plan is pretty straightforward. They decide to offer to pay for a burial, thinking maybe finances were the issue.
Makes sense, a practical approach.
But Carla shuts that down immediately. She's adamant about honoring her father's wishes, even if they clash with tradition.
And that right there is the heart of the conflict. Tradition versus personal choice. Belief versus secularism.
And that's when Sholem's plan takes a turn towards the audacious.
Yeah, sounds good. What does he cook up?
He decides they're going to steal Jamie's body from the crematorium.
Wait, what? Hold on. He's going to steal the body like a heist.
You heard right. A full-on body-snatching operation.
Wow, this just got interesting.
And that's where we'll pick up after the break. Sholem's mission is about to get a whole lot more complicated than he ever imagined. Stealing a body from a crematorium.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about commitment.
Right. It's a bold move. But you have to remember, for Sholem, this is about more than just following the rules. It's about what he believes is Jamie's spiritual well-being, his soul.
I can't even imagine what it must have been like. Sneaking into a crematorium in the dead of night.
Oh, it gets even more intense.
How?
What happened? So picture this. They break in, thinking they've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And they stumble upon the real guard, Carlos, tied up and gagged.
Wait, what? There's someone else there.
Yeah, it turns out there's another group at the crematorium, thieves. They disguise themselves as ambulance workers to get in.
Okay, this is wild. A crematorium heist.
It's not as crazy as it sounds. Apparently, these guys specialize in stealing valuables from bodies before they're cremated. Jewelry, implants, anything they can get their hands on.
That's both creepy and kind of brilliant.
Oh.
Talk about a niche market.
Right. It's like this dark mirror to what Sholem and his friends are doing. They're both focused on the body after death, but with completely opposite motivations.
So what do Sholem and his friends do? They've got criminals to deal with now.
It's definitely a curveball. Their plan to just swap out the body goes out the window, and their focus shifts to helping Carlos and getting themselves out of there safely.
I bet. They're probably freaking out at this point.
They're definitely in over their heads. But luckily, Sholem planned for every contingency, right?
Right. He mapped the whole place out.
Exactly. So they use his knowledge to find a ventilation shaft that leads back to the reception area.
Smart thinking. But how do they get through a ventilation shaft?
Well, that's where Fade comes in. He's the youngest and smallest of the group.
Oh, I see. The tiny action hero.
Exactly. He squeezes through the shaft and manages to unlock the door from the inside.
Wow. Felled for the win.
Meanwhile, the others arm themselves with, you guessed it, empty vodka bottles.
They brought vodka.
No,
Mhm.
empty bottles. Remember, they used those to mimic the weight of the body they were going to steal?
Oh, right. So they're going to fight armed criminals with empty vodka bottles. That's either really brave or really stupid.
But
or both.
a little bit of both, probably. But again, it shows how far they're willing to go for what they believe in.
So what happens next? Does a vodka bottle beat a gun?
Well, just as things are about to get really ugly, a gunshot rings out. Yeah, things escalate quickly. It's a stark reminder that they're playing with fire here, both literally and figuratively.
And I bet Sholem and Raquel, who are waiting outside, are losing their minds.
They are. They hear the gunshot and decide to climb the fence to see what's going on.
Adding to the chaos.
It's a recipe for disaster. Everyone's converging at this crematorium with their own agendas and motivations.
So much for a stealth mission. What happens when Sholem and Raquel get inside?
It's a scene straight out of an action movie. They find the boys of Friday in a standoff with the thieves. With Carlos's help, they manage to overpower the criminals and lock them up.
Yeah, that was close. So they saved the day.
Not so fast. Remember, they're there for Jamie's body. And when they finally have a moment to search, they're hit with another shock.
What? Don't tell me.
Jamie's body isn't there.
Are you kidding me? After all that?
It's a huge blow. They risk their lives, face down armed criminals, and for what? It seems like your whole mission has been for nothing.
Talk about a letdown.
It's a moment of crisis for Sholem and the others. Their faith is shaken, their purpose is unclear, they're exhausted and emotionally drained. But then, just when they're about to give up, Sholem's phone rings. It's Carla.
Carla, what does she want?
She tells Sholem to meet her at Loyola.
Loyola. Isn't that...
A Jewish funeral home. Yes. It turns out, Jamie had a change of heart about the cremation. He secretly arranged his burial at Loyola and left a letter for his daughters, asking them to meet him there.
Wow. So all this time, Jamie had a plan of his own.
Exactly. And it throws everything into a whole new light.
So Jamie had a change of heart. Amazing. It seems like he wanted a traditional Jewish burial after all.
He did. And his letter to his daughters is so powerful. It's not just about changing his funeral plans. It's about his regret for cremating his wife.
Oh, wow.
He talks about how he understands the soul and its journey now. He even mentions resurrection and wanting to be with his wife in the afterlife.
It gives me chills just thinking about it. So it wasn't about rejecting his daughter's lifestyle.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It was about finding his own spiritual path. And it's interesting that he entrusted Sholem with the letter.
He did.
Yeah. Jamie acknowledges the impact Sholem had on him, even though they came from such different worlds.
That must have been a really powerful moment for Sholem.
Absolutely, to be recognized like that. And then, of course, there's the burial in Tablada.
Jamie got his final wish, and Sholem and his friends were there.
It's a beautiful ending, full of irony. Jamie, the man they tried to rescue, orchestrated his own salvation. And the boys of Friday, despite all their efforts to control the situation, ended up playing a supporting role in a much bigger plan.
And there's that great scene with Reuben, one of Sholem's friends, disguised as a waiter at Jamie's party.
Right, delivering the letter.
Full circle. This play is amazing. We had mistaken identities and near-death experiences, a body-snatching heist, a spiritual awakening, all wrapped up in a story about family and tradition.
It's incredible, isn't it? It reminds us that things aren't always what they seem, and that even in death, there's a possibility of change, of understanding, and of fulfilling what your soul truly desires.
It makes you think. If you could leave a message to your loved ones after you're gone, what would you say? What would you want them to know?
That's a really profound question. And I think that's what Nomi Kremen is all about. It's about reflecting on our beliefs and finding the courage to express them, both while we're alive and after we're gone.
This has been an incredible deep dive. So many twists and turns, but ultimately I think it leaves us with hope and a reminder to connect with what really matters.
I completely agree. And it's a testament to the power of stories. They illuminate these complex themes and help us have these important conversations.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Nomi Kremen. It's a story that I know will stay with me, and I hope it does the same for you.